So thank you very much, um, Jenny. So I will, if you like, you can switch off your webcam. I think if you listen to that information Jenny presented and you look a little bit more in detail, many information she has received and we have received from our extraterrestrials. And you can get a feeling now how important it is for the new era that we start and begin to attract more people to that kind of new communication living together. And because the telepathy is the universal base of all forms of communications, we will give you any support we need from our side to move forward. Many of you already have experiences in that, for example, by channeling messages and so on. But we would like to share all the experiences we had, the information we received so far from our ET friends. And with the next weekend on Saturday, when we have the practical exercises, you will get in touch with your own extraterrestrial contact being if you don't have met one already. So if you start to get in communication with our extraterrestrial friends next weekend, you will get in touch, in contact with your person or being, not person, being, which you can also ask and work with in developing your own telepathy center. And I would like to come back to one point Jenny mentioned, the wormhole. And she struggled a lot when she told us that she received wormhole as part of the telepathy centers, and she knew that she needed to present wormhole as a word, as a part of the telepathy center. And I think you can start to feel what that means for you or for your own telepathy center, when a telepathy center is also a wormhole. Wormhole we know from many science fiction and other communications, has a certain information as a layer. And I would just like to recommend to think and feel about that, what that means. Incredible time, I would like to say. Now we reach the fourth part of the agenda, the consciousness and emotions part. And as I mentioned during the introduction, this was not planned in the original introduction webinar. It was given to us a few days ago, and I already again received the importance today by the Creator to show that. And I show you now a very complicated chart on the first view. And I would like to emphasize that the chart I now would like to explain and describe a little bit is a model. That is a model to understand what is happening at the moment and to give you some more insights. You might have some other information or additional information, different views on that. That is absolutely okay. But for that, what we are now discussing within the next meeting, this model helps a lot to understand what is going on. So, dann würde ich sagen, wir machen nur den Anrufer ganz kurz auf Mute. Okay. Okay, just to start with that picture. Basically, this picture is divided vertically in two sections. In the left sections, approximately here, and in the right section. We will start with the left section. And then, if we look horizontally to the levels, then we basically have three major levels. One level here at the bottom is representing the Earth. Then we have a second layer. On the left side, you see 4D for 4 dimension or fourth dimension and the word astral plane. And then we have something beyond that fourth dimension. And on the top, we have orange light. And if you to the right side, you see the word higher self. And sometimes you can use soul tree or soul family or monade and Vollseele gibt es auch many other descriptions for that. And you see that 100% inside that light. Okay. And if you look to that levels and to the section on the left side, then we see that we have here a kind of circle coming from the light, higher self, to the Earth, and then it makes a circle back and ends with the word fusion. Okay. It's very important to explain what is happening normally here in that model. You see here a small baby. That is our incarnation. If we go to Earth, and you see that approximately 50%, and that 50% or that 100% concerns the consciousness we have on the different states. So if we are located in the higher self area, we have 100%, whatever 100% is, we have 100% of our consciousness. Then as a baby, we have approximately 50%, which is comparable high. And then we decrease our consciousness during our lifetime until the age of puberty to approximately 25%. Then we are getting older, we are getting wiser, and we learn, and sometimes we start to look to spiritual aspects of our life, and then we increase a little bit our consciousness, and we achieve approximately 35%. And then you see that is indicating that this guy here will leave his body and he dies and he leaves that body and he goes back. And you see here he goes back to that astral plane, and there is a word sanatorium, which basically means there is an area where we recover from our experiences here on Earth. We further opening defocusing our consciousness, reaching on that area in a higher dimension, a consciousness state of approximately 80%. We have some experiences in a so-called pseudo-paradise, where we build with our thoughts paradise environments. And we go back then to our higher self, our original source, where the higher self itself has his own source again. But that is not shown here of that chart. And then we go back and we have a fusion with our higher self. And possibly we start again with our cycle. So very simple, very short. And here on the right side, you see, in the right section, you see a different thing. You see that this guy here, or this woman, is climbing that arrow up. And here on Earth, that is totally different. Here, on the level to the astral plane, we have a higher consciousness. We have already here approximately 65% consciousness. And that is basically during our awakening phase, which basically means we open our consciousness, or in other words describe, we defocus our consciousness. And that basically means we move to love and joy and release fear, rage, hate, sorrow, and these things. Many of you, or most or all of you, most probably you have worked on your chakra system, on removing blocks in your chakra system and this kind of things. That has very much to do with here, with that defocusing and awakening. But there is another point which is extremely important, and I will cover that in one slide a little bit later again. more in detail. Here you see a very strange picture, more or less representing the hell as we know it from the Bible, for example. And you see that we have here again on that astral plane level fear, rage, hate, sorrow, and we have a very focused consciousness here. And if you remember, if we go back to the left section, if our daily life, when we leave our body, if we reach our time to go, we have a very low consciousness. But if we go to the astral plane, and many souls are still learning on the astral plane, we have a very important situation, and that is described with that red statement: immediate manifestation. What does it mean? It means that if we think of something, if we enter this astral plane, and that is also valid beyond that astral plane, if we think of something and we combine that with a certain emotion, then we immediately manifest that thought. Could mean, for example, if somebody has a fear of the devil, yeah, if you look to the Bible and the Christian beliefs, then the devil will come immediately, but not because the Creator sent the devil. No, that's because the guy here has fear of the devil and manifests that immediately. Well, that is a very important aspect of our cycle here, between 100% of our life here on Earth, in this example. But you see here, on the right side, there is 65% instead of 35%. How does it come? It comes that we, during our spiritual path, we opening our chakra system, and we opening our heart, which is the power system to manifest, you know. And if you look to your daily life at the moment, you possibly have the experience that many things I am thinking of manifest very, very quickly at the moment in our daily life. And that is different from the past. And that depends because the energy moves us as like on a ladder, step by step into that direction to the astral plane and beyond. But we do not know that in our daily life very much, that this energy coming from the Creator is pushing us upwards. The only thing what we can say is that our consciousness is increasing. And now that is very, very important. And I will go to that. We have the following situation now. And that is a message we received on end of February, beginning of March. And that has something to do with the tone, the sound, and that is mentioned very, very often in the esoteric environment. So even we are not so much into esoteric movement activities and this kind of things, we come back to that special information provided by our extraterrestrial at this time regarding the tone. And I will explain what happens, what that means. You can see our current situation on Earth like water with some bubbles here. So we have some bigger bubbles, some smaller bubbles, some bubbles here on the bottom, some bubbles here in the direction to the astral plane. And that bubbles basically describe the consciousness of us. So if we work with our chakra system, we release fear and this kind of emotions, and we go to the path of love and joy, then we move upwards with a bubble, right? And this blue arrow describes the energy which is increasing currently. Now, we are currently in that green area, which is marked as the last step. We are not aware very much that we are on that last step in our daily life. But that is the last step, and we are moving upwards to that point. And what we received as a message is that we are moving further upwards, driven by the energy, driven by our own awakening activities and releasing of fear and this kind of things. And then we reach on Earth. It's very important that we remember that. We reach on Earth this astral plane without that we have died. Like on the left side, this guy who died and had a consciousness level of 35% approximately. And what was told to us is the following. That is, I think, the most important thing. If we, with our consciousness entering the astral level, then we will hear a tone. And you see that bubbles here looking out into the astral plane, and we will hear a tone. And this tone will move the bubbles up through the astral plane to the level, and here is the statement ascension. That is the name or description for the process we are currently in here on Earth, given by many channelings and so on. And you see here that the new Earth is shown here above the astral plane. And the astral plane and this limit here has a very important aspect. And I will tell you what the important thing is. Here in the astral plane, we will have still emotions like fear, rage, hate, or sorrow. That is still available or still existing here in that 4D astral plane. In that model, we have that fear, rage, hate, sorrow here. And we won't have that any longer beyond the astral plane. And that is something which already has Earth or Gaia reached. And what we are doing, we will have some more webinars. More than these 3 webinars, we will have some focus topics we will handle. And one of the topic is if we go telepathically through the future and the past and these kind of things, we will contact Gaia and we ask her to show us how new Earth already looks from her point of view on the other side. Remember, this level here and above, level and above has no time as we know it physically. The time is just in the 3-dimensional area here. So the Earth and the Creator, by the way, he already looks down to that representation of his creation with the new Earth already existing. So as we go one step further. 1 week ago, I think it was, when we had finished our Sunday event with the scientists and engineers and all the other people, Jenny and Julia and Eva, we sat together and then we discussed one very important item in that discussion. And this discussion concerned the name or the expression central sun. Zentralsonne, central sun. And during the discussion, we recognized that we had some different understanding of different sun, central sun. We have the information about Alcyone, then the great central sun, this expression, and this different central sun. And I then decided to ask the Creator what the central sun is. And the Creator gave me the following information. That's the first time I saw that. at all. And I told that our Cosmic Society team, and then I asked the creator whether that is important to show during the webinar, and today he mentioned that should be shown. And that is very interesting. Okay. What he showed, or it showed, the creator, is that the creation is based on the flower of life. Okay. Then I asked him, what is the central sun? And he said, or it said, the central sun gives warmth and light. So I am the central sun. And then I asked him, yeah, what about the central sun in the Milky Way with the Alkyone, for example? And then he showed me that picture, which shows the following. The black and white, that is now golden, the black and white flower of life with the creation in the center. And then he showed, and that is just very roughly painted, so it was not exactly the same, but very much describes what he has shown to me. He told me the following. He is now calling home his children, he said. And he said that not all of his children will hear that call home. And he showed me a picture where small children, or little children, not small children, little children, they played still outside in a meadow, for example, and it rained. And the children, they were very, very wet, and they played with their play instrument in the water, and they plunged and they hit the water and in the mud, and they didn't hear that call home. Yeah. So what then happened is that some go home. Then they will, when they reach home, they will pampered, they will loved, and they will get many, many wonderful things. And then they will go to a new play field. And then he said, here there will be like a music player, for example, there will be information coded, given through the flower of life here, from central sun to central sun. And if you look, there is here marked the creator in the center of the flower of life. Then there is another central sun here in our Milky Way. From that central sun, it goes to another central sun, to our sun. From our sun to our sun, which is the heart chakra. So he sends a code here through the complete whole line within the flower of life, and it will be spreaded and moved through all the central sun items within the flower of life. Now he said that these codes contain like a musical note, a certain information. And then he said the children are like musicians, and they have music instruments, and they will receive the new musical notes, so they can prepare their musical instruments based on their new musical notes they receive through the flower of life, right? And then there will be the following, and I can tell you that is very, very important, because we are not so far away, as I understand from the Creator. There will be then a tone sent through this chain. This tone will go into our heart chakra, and then will start to resonate with all its children, who had prepared their musical instruments based on the new musical notes they received. And then there will be a resonance triggered by this information and this tone sent through the whole chain of central sounds into our heart. And the important thing is we will hear that tone, or the children who have prepared their musical instruments based on their new notes, but others who are still playing outside in the rain, they won't hear that tone, that sound. And now, then he showed me the following. There was a black and white flower of life representing the current cosmos, the current universe. And by sending the tone, and then it comes into resonance, from that bottom flower of life, there was a new flower of life moving upwards. And then we had two flowers of life. The second flower of life comes out of the first flower of life. And then the interesting thing is, the top flower of life was gold, was golden, like this flower of life here. And he told me then that he loves the color gold. And he also explained it is not just Earth who is part of that new layer, golden flower of life. On the other side, the old flower of life still remained in that position. It's just another layer of golden, of a flower of life, like a kind of hologram. I had the perception like a hologram which was extracted from an old hologram and represented a new hologram in the color gold. And that was very, very interesting, impressive, and therefore I asked whether that it makes sense to inform you. And yes, he said it is necessary that you know that. Then he finished 1 week ago his statement with you all, his children, you all have your own universe inside your heart chakra, which also creates a universe because it's also the central sun, basically, our heart chakra. And finally, he told me today, a few minutes before we began, when I asked, shall I give you any additional message? And he said 2 things. He said, please tell them they shall trust me. That was the first thing. And the second thing is they should know, or they know, and they will know that I love them very much. And that was very, very strong message I received a few minutes ago before we started the webinar. And I can tell you that we are approaching a very, very interesting phase at the moment. And our extraterrestrial friends, please feel free to get in contact with your own contacts. They said, stay calm in the time now coming, which shows us that we have much more turbulences than in the past. And then we come now to the important point after that message from the Creator. And that has to do with the current situation outside in the world and our consciousness. And I will give you now the point why that is so important at the moment. Please imagine you have 2 balloons. One gray balloon, which represents the old way of life with war and terror and this kind of thing. And then we have a new gray balloon, which represents our new era we are entering now, the golden age, if you like, of the new earth. And you see those 2 balloons, they are gray, they are nothing special at the moment, and we can those 2 realities observe very neutral. Okay? Now comes the important part. If we have an emotion link linked to that information, like fear, for example, then we give that reality, which was just a potential reality, an impulse. We say to that potential reality, war or terror or whatever, please come to me. Do you remember our consciousness when we are entering the astral plane? We are very close to immediate manifestation. So, if we have emotions which are based on fear, hate, and this kind of things, then we create our reality for us, because we say to that potential reality, please come to me. I have much power in my heart chakra, you say, and I have fear, so very, very strong, and I like to see that reality. But there is a different way too. If we have emotions like love or joy, as an example, then we would give the other balloon, which was just a potential, a reality. That is basically the golden age. Also, if we are joyful about the new era we are entering, with the telepathy centers, for example, we give the impulse, come to me, to the new earth. And the point is basically then the following. This is very, very important what is happening now. Because we are spiritual, developing our being, our soul, then we have opened our heart chakra, which is very, very powerful now at the moment. And the powerful heart chakra is the fundamental base for creation of realities. But because we are now on the last step here in the area, entering the 4D level, we are very close to that immediate manifestation capability. And if you can see, if I have a fear, then we will create that very, very soon, what we are expecting. But we have another possibility too. Because we have that powerful heart chakra, we can create another reality for us with an immediate manifestation if we go to the path of love and joy, which is above the 4D astral plane. This is the new earth platform. And that basically is that what is happening if we talk about the separation of the one and the other. That is nothing given by the creator in that model. It is given by our own consciousness. And what that means is, please think about that. If there is a media news about terror attacks, for example, and we have fear, and we say, oh, they generate fear to me, then this has to do with us, not with the media, because the media news just touch the point where I could have a look to release that special fear. The creator, he confirmed and he emphasized, you are saved. You just need to trust him. That was the point. And if we, that was another statement he gave by, for example, I remember, he said, be joyful the remaining time. Be joyful. And that has something to do with the new era and with all the wonderful things we are doing with the telepathy centers and our network we are growing now on a worldwide level. That is just to summarize that what is related to our consciousness and our awakening in context of that what the creator would like that we know that. Okay.